IRAs are one of the most common types of retirement accounts. You're going to have one. What are the biggest mistakes that you need to avoid? I've got that and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, you have an IRA or a Roth IRA, and if you don't right now, you will at some point. These are just kind of pivotal pieces, foundational pieces to your financial plan, your financial life. If you just have a 401k right now, at some point you'll roll that 401k into an IRA. You should have a Roth IRA where you've started that 5-year clock, even if it's just put $100 in there, so you've got that 5-year clock ticking. IRAs are vitally important to your overall financial plan and future financial success. So what are some of the big mistakes that people make with their IRAs, and how can you avoid them? Well, I recently saw an article from Morningstar.com, the 20 biggest IRA mistakes that you need to avoid. I'm going to link it below. And you guys know that I talk a lot. I'm long-winded, but normally I would say, yeah, they probably made up, 15 of these that are just sort of garbage. No, guys, most of them, the majority of these are good. So we're going to go through each of them. I'll make a comment on each so that you're aware and you can avoid these mistakes yourself. The first IRA mistake is waiting until the 11th hour to fund your IRA. That's right, the IRA and your Roth, you have up until April 15 of the next year to fund your IRA for the previous year. And there are times when you're going to want to wait to see, well, what's my adjusted gross income, therefore which one is better for me to fund. But then you miss out on the potential for tax deferred growth all along that year. So one mistake is waiting until the 11th hour every single year to fund that IRA. Second mistake is assuming Roth IRA contributions are always best. I would also say assuming that they're always worse. They're assuming that you should always get the tax deduction. I'd say both of those are no-nos. You guys know, if you're a fan of the Wise Money Show, every single year you've got to take a look at your tax picture and say, well, which one is better? Should I get the pre-tax benefit of funding an IRA, or should I do the Roth instead and have it grow tax-free? Third mistake is thinking it's either or. Just like that, there are times when you may want to fund a little bit of pre-tax IRA to get your adjusted gross income down below a certain threshold, and then the rest be Roth. And so sometimes, not all the time, sometimes you'll fund a little pre-tax traditional IRA and fund a little Roth as well. The fourth mistake listed, I disagree with a little bit, and this is assuming that you should do a non-deductible IRA for the long haul. Sometimes this fits, guys. Sometimes you should do it for the long haul. But I think the point that they're trying to make here, the author's trying to make, is make sure if you're funding that that you're funding the after-tax IRA, looking for opportunities to turn it into a backdoor Roth, where you're looking for opportunities to convert that after-tax money into your Roth IRA. So absolutely be on the lookout for that. And going right along with that, assuming when you do that backdoor Roth, it's going to be tax-free. The after-tax contribution you made to your IRA, when you convert that, yeah, there's no tax consequence of that. But any growth that you had on those dollars, any growth that you had on your after-tax IRA contribution, or any pre-tax money inside your IRA already, is going to proportionately be taxed. So you've got to be aware of that. Definitely do the planning work before you're funding your backdoor Roth so that you know you're fully aware of the tax consequences. Sticking with that theme, assuming that if you have pre-tax IRA dollars, you should never do a backdoor Roth. I would absolutely agree with that. But their point here is there's a planning opportunity where you could take pre-tax IRA dollars, move them into your retirement plan at work, and then do your backdoor Roth. Absolutely, we've talked about that before. We hear this one all the time. People come in and we're talking about their overall financial goals, their financial picture, and we look and they have no Roth IRA. And we ask them, hey, why haven't you been funding the Roth IRA? And they said, I didn't realize I was able to. And now they're in their 60s and it's a little bit too late. It's a little bit too late, but not really. You're still going to want to capture as much as you can, but there might not be a lot of years to contribute. The eighth mistake is not doing spousal IRA contributions. If you're working with a certified financial planner doing comprehensive financial planning, you will avoid this mistake. You want to look at all of your tax shelters that are available to you every single year and to determine which ones make sense to fund and how much. So being aware that even if your spouse isn't working, if you're working enough, earning enough that you can contribute to their IRA or Roth IRA, absolutely that's something you've got to be aware of. Ninth one here, avoiding making IRA contributions because of short-term considerations. The author mentions this is more common when you're young. I would agree. You think, I might need these dollars. I don't want to put them on that conveyor belt and not see them again until my 60s or 70s. No, that's how you build wealth, is transferring dollars from today towards the long term and investing them for the long term and seeing them out there in retirement. So definitely avoid this mistake. Not being aware of the 5-year rule with the Roth IRA. Not getting it started, number one, but then number two, ignoring it and just withdrawing growth from a Roth IRA, even though you haven't had one for 5 years. That's an absolute no-no. Need to be aware of that. It's a strange rule, but if you're using the Roth IRA or may in the future, you've got to make sure you understand and adhere to the 5-year rule. Thinking of your IRA as mad money. So thinking that you've got your core investment holdings and your retirement dollars in your 401k, that's where I'll be disciplined for the long term, and my IRA, I'm just going to gamble or play with. No, I wouldn't agree with that. Absolutely not. If you have a penchant for finding individual stocks or doing options or doing some creative stuff, then have that maybe be a small portion of your total portfolio, not just one of your accounts where you tinker around with. No. Have a core investment philosophy. And if you want to dabble in stocks or dabble in another type of investment, do that with a small portion, not with an entire account. Yeah, lots of people miss out on filling in some of their gaps in their financial plan by not using IRAs appropriately. Within your 401k, you're going to have some good investment choices likely, but you're not going to be able to build out a full diversified portfolio most likely. So use that IRA to fill in those gaps. Second, gaps in your career. You might not be eligible to contribute to your 401k right when you start your new job. And if that means you miss out on a year or a couple of years, and think about that over your career, of funding a retirement account, using that IRA to fill in those gaps. That's vitally important. Next is, I'm just going to say, not having a financial planning approach to your investment strategies. This risk would only happen if you were just thinking of investments only and only doing investment planning. Because then you would just never have the awareness, well, I shouldn't have this double tax shelter within my IRA. No way. If you're doing tax planning as part of your investment planning, then you're going to be aware, yeah, I'm not going to use tax sheltered types of investments within a tax sheltered type of account. Mistake number 15, gobbling up, messing up an IRA rollover, a 401k rollover. Guys, there's very strict rules. I've just done a couple videos about making sure you're aware of those rules with doing 60-day rollovers. There's a lot of ways to mess it up. In fact, with some of the rule changes, they've made it even more strict. So make sure you're doing a transfer every time it's possible or available, and make sure you limit your 60-day rollovers to just one every 12 months. Done some videos on these recently as well, and that is not being strategic with your required minimum distribution. Actually have another video coming up here shortly about options, how you should use or what are your choices with your required minimum distribution. Next one, I just did a video about this recently, not reinvesting your required minimum distribution. What if you're required to withdraw this money out, but you don't need it? You don't want it just sitting in the bank account. Well, then withdraw the dollars, do the tax planning to withhold the appropriate tax, and then reinvest those dollars in an individual or joint account, and make sure that individual or joint account has a TOD so those dollars avoid probate. If you're charitably inclined, make sure you're still doing qualified charitable distributions from your IRA. Doing that once you turn age 70.5, that's where it makes sense. You can pull those dollars directly from the IRA, send them to the charity. Those dollars avoid tax completely. They also satisfy your RMD. Most tax strategies like that, you can't satisfy your RMD with that. Well, this one you can, so make sure you take advantage of that. Not being aware of who your beneficiaries are on your IRA. You don't need to look at that all the time, very, very frequently, but every couple of years, tune in to make sure that you've got the right beneficiaries listed, nothing's changed, and that maybe there wasn't a mistake by your IRA company. And then lastly, last mistake is not getting advice on inherited IRAs. Guys, this is going to be a bigger and bigger deal as more people pass away with our aging population and more wealth transfers. The rules have changed with how long you have to draw dollars out of an inherited IRA, so making sure you're working with an advisor. Okay, so there's the crash course, the 20 mistakes that you need to avoid with an IRA, with a Roth IRA. You're gonna avoid all of these and capture more opportunities by working with your CFP that's doing comprehensive financial planning. So make sure you're reaching out to them. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.